there seems to be an extraordinary confusion over the gift of speaking in languages. And I say that deliberately. I don't think the word glossa means anything other than language. It would be very helpful if we would drop once and for all the misleading phrase speaking in tongues. In the book of Acts, clearly those were well-known, recognizable languages that were spoken supernaturally by the apostles, and those people visiting from other areas were hearing their own language spoken supernaturally, and these were mother tongues to those people. This was an absolute miracle, as indeed it is a miracle when the house shakes when people pray. It's a miracle when people are raised from the dead or given the power to walk after catastrophic accidents and so on. All of that is purely miraculous. But today it's very hard for the so-called language speakers to convince others that what they're doing relates one-to-one with the New Testament phenomenon. For example, in 1 Corinthians 12 through 14, we have the gift of languages as one of the gifts. And the gift of interpretation is a parallel and companion gift given to someone else. Now, I grant that Paul, in one passage, seems to suggest that you can interpret your own language. But the normal procedure is that one who speaks in foreign languages supernaturally has to rely upon the interpretation, the translation given to someone who has that particular gift of interpretation. My point is that these are real, definable, measurable languages. Now, when scholars have taken their tape recorders around to record the various claims to speaking in tongues or languages, there's really no evidence at all that the structure of language is found in any of the sounds being emitted by these people. So, is it too much to ask people to become thoroughly honest with this experience? First of all, would they admit that the gift they're claiming is the gift of languages, real languages, spoken supernaturally? Is it too much to ask someone to say, now, what language have you verifiably spoken? If it's done in the prayer closet, it already falls foul of Paul's ideal, because Paul says in 1 Corinthians 14 there, let the one particular person, it's not everybody, but the one who's gifted with languages, let them pray in order to translate so that the rest of us may hear what's being said. At that level, the utterance given in languages would be at the level of prophecy. It has instructional and revelational, inspirational value for the whole church. So let the one who has that gift of language pray to translate. Now, in speaking to many who claim this gift, you find that seems to silence them. They've only ever exercised what they call this gift of languages in the prayer closet. They themselves have no idea what they've said. They have no verification at all that it's real language. And yet they're convinced that it's the real thing. I would have thought that the command that we verify all things there in 1 Thessalonians, the end of the book, that we prove all things carefully, that we use the noble-minded aristocratic approach in Acts 17:11 of those Bereans who searched out everything most carefully to see if they were believing the truth. I don't think people who claim this gift of languages today have ever done that, at which point it might be, I suggest this very gently, it might in fact turn out to be an exercise in self-delusion, that one is imagining something that isn't true. And that cannot surely be healthy in any area of Christian truth and Christian teaching. So I think that the exhortation would be, if you claim to be a speaker in languages, and drop the term tongues, it's very misleading. That's to say, you claim that you're speaking foreign languages unlearned, which is an absolute miracle, I grant that. It's a complete miracle. Those of us who had to learn languages the hard way know that that's not an easy task. To do this supernaturally is an amazing feat, an amazing and wonderful miracle. Now, Paul does say in 14:22 of 1 Corinthians, in answer to the question, what is the point of languages? And Paul's answer is clearly, it's a sign to unbelievers. Now, a sign, again, is an identifiable, definable, unarguable, non-negotiable miracle. Otherwise, it's not a sign at all. And so the uttering of various sounds in the prayer closet, which are never translated, are never exposed to public scrutiny or verified, cannot surely be a sign to unbelievers. So that's my suggestion. Speaking in languages is the way to get at the truth of this phenomenon, both in Acts and in 1 Corinthians. And for goodness sake, please verify this. Otherwise, one might be guilty of an exercise in self-deception, which would not be a good idea.